Fox News congressional correspondent Aishah Hasnie is outside the D.C. where House Democrats just had that meeting this morning. Aishah, what did you hear as they were leaving?
Well, not much. I mean, if you were going to ask me the question whether they were all united behind President Biden, I would not be able to answer that question because they don't have an answer to that. So that meeting, about 2 hours long, top secret, just ended. So we're watching these doors very closely here because some of those members are going to start to trickle out. We did try to talk to some members earlier that had to run to committee, and we were just getting ignored left and right. People were just staring at us. Clearly, they were told to not speak to the media. One lawmaker did tell us that there is no consensus, while another one told us that they are still talking. Take a listen to this.
Congressman Byer, are you guys all back in Biden? Congresswoman, how is it? President Biden.
This is what democracy is about, right?
Did anybody?
Not just
and what did you get up and say in the room?
I said I shared my position and how I came to it.
Is there not a Congresswoman Dingell? Is there any consensus in there? They're still talking. What does that tell you?
We're united. That our caucus is united in supporting each other.
Okay, so none of that sounds good for President Biden. Seth Moulton, who you just heard from there, is one of those 8 defectors. He being the only one, really, who stopped to talk to our cameras, kind of tells you everything about how today went. Senate Democrats, in the meantime, will also meet at lunchtime this afternoon to talk about Biden. Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says he's for Joe, but his vulnerable colleagues are not on the same page. Senator Sherrod Brown, Martin Heinrich, John Tester all came out yesterday distancing themselves from the president. Senator Murray actually with a surprising statement as well, basically saying that after she talked with her constituents, she believes that President Biden must do more to demonstrate that he can campaign strong enough to beat Donald Trump. So while Democrats are talking, Republicans are trying to weigh in too.
House Republicans have known that Joe Biden is unfit for office. We also know that he will go to any lengths to maintain his grip on power.
Now, Republicans actually, Sandra, sent over their interns to troll Democrats, and you can see here they're holding up the sign, "Is Joe Biden fit for office?" And at this hour, I don't know if Democrats can answer that question. Sandra?
All right. Thank you for setting that up for us. Aishah Hasnie. Gianno Caldwell is Fox News political analyst, and he joins us now. The Democrats, Gianno, welcome to you, are clearly worried about Biden's impact down ballot if he stays in this race. Are their concerns warranted?
Absolutely. And to Aishah's point, which I thought was really clearly laid out, Democrats don't even know if he's fit for office anymore. And unfortunately for them, they're being fed this poison pill that we can now call Joe Biden. The truth of the matter is the American people saw that debate to the tune of, 50 million on television, but hundreds of millions on social media. I don't believe that there's going to be another debate, and this is going to be the image that is sunk in their heads. It will impact Democrats down ballot because they're going to have to go out and say Joe Biden is fit for office. They're going to have to go out and lie some more. And the American people knows that it is not true. So they're losing credibility on their own issues, their own races, and the impact is what we're going to see in November.
Perhaps very telling how little we heard from those Democrats as they were leaving that meeting just a short time ago. Gianno, looking beyond the presidency, Republicans currently hold a slim majority in the House, and Democrats are in control of the Senate. But there are major questions, Gianno, on how a continued Biden candidacy could affect the balance of power in Congress. One headline says Democrats could be faced with losing both chambers if Biden runs. As it stands, Republicans are favored to win the Senate, but the party will face much stiffer competition in the House, where Democrats are projected to prevail. But Biden's inclusion on the ticket, given his recent unpopularity, could flip the odds in the GOP's favor. Democrats weighing in on that.
There are concerns with the impact on down-ballot races if the president doesn't do well.
This may be untenable for them to all, want to run under a Biden ticket because it's going to drag everybody else down.
It's becoming more and more clear that they are sounding the alarm on this issue, Gianno.
Absolutely right. And to that point of that article, the Senate is probably likely going to flip to the Republicans. and we saw all the chaos that we seen in the House with the speaker fights and all those kind of things. So it seemed like it was a slimmer chance. But now with this new information come to light, and the fact that Democrats are going to have to defend their nominee because they can't take him out of the race. The only way that they could really do that, I guess, is if they invoke the 25th Amendment. That's the only way. And they're not willing to do that because they know what kind of chaos that would cause, even though, so sad, our country is having to live through a president who can't fully function as our commander-in-chief. They're choosing politics and power over the American people, and that's unfortunate. But yeah, this is the set of circumstances they find themselves in. And truth of the matter is the chickens have come home to roost. They knew for months what kind of condition that Joe Biden was in. We've been talking about it on our air for how long? Yeah. And they deny the reports and say, oh, that's just some Fox News controversial statements that they're making is not true. And we're finding out we've been right all along. So, you know, this is where they put themselves, and they only have themselves to blame for this.
Right-wing propaganda, it was called at many points.
Exactly right.
Gianno, there's obviously big questions over next steps here. What would be the next step for Democrats if President Biden does end up leaving the race? Biden campaign co-chair in South Carolina, Congressman Jim Clyburn, said last week that if that were to happen, the party should hold a mini primary. Longtime Clinton advisor James Carville goes even further than that, calling for a, quote, super democratic process, one where former presidents Barack Obama and Bill Clinton pick 8 candidates, including VP Harris. Carville suggesting holding 4 town halls, 1 each in the South, the Northeast, the Midwest, and the West. He also says Democratic delegates could further stress test the candidates. New York Times opinion columnist Ezra Klein with this, beginning, quote, if Biden steps aside, the Democratic Party has 2 options, a coronation or a contest. A coronation of Harris would repeat the mistakes that brought the party to crisis in the first place. What Democrats denied themselves over the past few years was information. If Biden had run in a competitive primary race, including debates, Democrats would have seen earlier how he would perform. If Biden had routinely sat for extended, tough interviews and given news conferences, his shortcomings would have been clearer. And they might find themselves, Gianno, in a much different position today. Your thoughts?
They would, but the Democratic Party isn't a party of allowing people to compete. We saw what they did with Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders. They're not a party that's going to let people get out there and possibly beat whoever's been anointed at that particular moment. But the problem, I think, for Democrats is they're locked in. They don't have a choice. You can't introduce a new person to the country. The debate that people saw is probably all that many people are going to see of this election. They're turned off. So they've seen what they saw. You're not going to be able to get a new face in there. And then especially it's problematic if you're going to bypass Kamala Harris, who black women in some cases support. But it would be a very telling message, especially around black media, that you're going over this, this black leader, this vice president, to go pick somebody else that could be of another color. And we know how identity politics works in the Democratic Party. It dominates the Democratic Party. So they're losing in whatever your resolution is, you lost on each one of them. So you better buckle up, get with Joe Biden, and try to feed him some lines to tell the press, because it's just not working out for them.
Gianno, always good to talk to you. Thanks for coming on the program today. Good to see you.
Thank you for having me.
Okay.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.